It had been a few months since my friends and I left our small town to get away for a while. It wasn't like there was anything wrong with the place, we just wanted a break from the same mundane routine. So Anthony, Mike, and I packed up to set out and explore the world beyond. Sure, we had fun, but as time passed, we started to miss home, our families, our friends, and the streets we knew like the back of our hands. It felt like the town was calling us back. Now I wish we had ignored that call, that feeling. When we drove back into town, something felt wrong immediately. The air seemed heavier. The streets emptier than they should have been. We exchanged nervous glances, but dismissed it as just the weirdness of being away for so long. That excuse didn't last long. "Hey Jacob," Anthony said, his voice low and uneasy. "Does this feel off to you? I've had this bad feeling ever since we crossed back into town, and why is everyone looking at us like that?" He was right. The people we'd known our entire lives were staring at us. Not with the warm, welcoming glances you'd expect from neighbors happy to see you back, but cold, vacant looks. "I feel that too," I replied. "It's like they're not themselves." Mike, sitting in the back seat, shifted uncomfortably. "Same here, and the way they're looking at us, man, it's freaking me out. Our town wasn't big, we knew everyone by name, and they knew us. But now, it was like they didn't recognize us, or worse, like they were studying us, deciding something. When we finally got to our houses, things only got stranger. My parents were there, sure, but they didn't greet me. They just stared. Silent. Unblinking. I tried to talk to them, but it was like I wasn't even there. Later that evening, I met up with Anthony and Mike at an old clearing in the woods where we used to hang out. "Even my family's acting like I'm some kind of stranger," Mike said, pacing back and forth. "They didn't even say a word to me, just stared." "Same," Anthony added, running a hand through his hair. "It's like they're not them anymore." Half jokingly, I said, "What if they were being controlled or something?" "You're not serious, right?" Anthony asked. "I don't know, nothing else makes sense. Why else would they be acting like this?" We didn't have much time to debate it. Out of nowhere, a man appeared at the edge of the clearing. He was tall and gaunt, with a face so pale it almost glowed in the moonlight. His eyes were sunken and empty, and he kept repeating one word. "Sacrifice." Over and over again, in a voice that didn't sound human. It wasn't loud, but it was chilling. "What the hell?" Mike whispered, backing away. Before we could react, more people appeared. Dozens of them, stepping out of the shadows, surrounding us. They didn't say a word, just lunged at us. The next thing I knew, everything went black. When I came to, I was tied up in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. My wrists were raw from the ropes, and my friends were slumped over, still unconscious. Panic started to set in, but I forced myself to stay calm. I twisted my wrists back and forth until the rope loosened enough for me to slip free. I was about to untie Anthony and Mike when I heard footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps. I dove behind a stack of crates, my heart pounding in my chest. 2 people walked in, whispering to each other. I couldn't make out everything they said, but I caught a few words. Escape, hunt, and prepare. They didn't stay long, but their presence was enough to rattle me. When they left, I rushed back to my friends and untied them. They groggily came to, and I explained the whole situation. Before we could come up with a plan, we heard a low, guttural sound. It didn't sound human. We froze as a shadow loomed at the far end of the warehouse. The thing that stepped into view was massive, easily 20 feet tall. Its body was twisted and asymmetrical, like it had been stitched together from other creatures. Its head was elongated, with too many eyes, some blinking, others lifeless. Its arms were long, ending in jagged claws that scraped against the concrete floor. What the fuck is that? Anthony whispered, his voice trembling. The creature turned its many eyes on us, and for a moment, none of us could move. It let out a deafening roar and lunged. We ran, we didn't even think, just bolted in different directions. I knew it was a terrible idea, but panic had taken over. I heard Mike scream, and when I turned, I saw the creature's claw impale him. Blood poured from his chest as he fell limp. "Mike," I screamed, but there was nothing I could do. Anthony and I kept running, but the creature was relentless. I looked back just in time to see it grab Anthony and slam him into the ground. "Anthony!" I wanted to go back to help him, but I knew I couldn't. Tears streamed down my face as I kept running. Somehow, I made it out. The town was even more eerily empty now, and I didn't encounter a single person on my way out. I don't know how I escaped, but I've been on the run ever since. I lost everything that day. My friends, my family, my home. No one believes me when I tell them what happened. My therapist thinks it's all a delusion, coping mechanism for some imagined trauma. But I know the truth. That creature is still out there. I see it in my nightmares, and sometimes I feel like it's watching me, waiting. I just wish I could have saved them.